Can't see the clock. Welcome to the white coat and pinning ceremony for the New Hampshire DPT class of 2022. We welcome Provost Starrett and Dean Altobello here to the Manchester Center. We welcome family and friends who are viewing the ceremony on a live stream. We welcome the faculty who are present, both current and former. We have Theresa O'Neill, Willow Henry, Lisa Doyle, Elka Schomburg, Maureen Clancy, Olga McSorley, Jennifer Wasserman, and Mary Palema. Thank you. And we also want to thank our staff, Jeannie, Mickey, as well as Kelsey and Nancy, who are helping out today. But most of all, we want to congratulate and welcome our New Hampshire DPT class of 2022. All 48 of you are here and poised to move on. So today is a special day for you. It marks the end of the didactic portion of your curriculum. As you presented your capstone research projects to your peers and the faculty this morning, you did a wonderful job, and it showed us how far you've come from that first day in orientation back in August a year and a half ago. You now have also made it through the comprehensive practical. And that is not without stress, we recognize that. But it's important. So now you're poised to enter your third year, and we symbolize this occasion with you donning your white coats, worn by doctoring professions during their clinical education phase. And we present you with the FPU NHDPT pin. After today, your journey will take you far away from us to your clinical experiences totaling 30 weeks, 3 full-time, 10-week clinical experiences. You will hone your hands-on skills even further, as well as develop your critical thinking even more. And you will become an entry-level physical therapist by the end of February of 2022. You will have the NPTE to take in April next year. We're confident you will successfully navigate all of this. It is up to you. We have prepared you for this. Don't forget you are not alone. You made this journey together and with your faculty. And we are here to support you, and you are to support each other. You will get through this with teamwork like you did before. Stay in touch with us and your classmates. Continue to have virtual study groups. Problem solve about difficult patients or things you want to figure out about a patient coming in. As well as virtual study groups for the NPTE is a great idea. You all have learned how to use Canvas Conference or Zoom. Keep doing that. We want you to succeed during year 3, and we know you can. Next May, we want you to return to FPU for your hooding and commencement ceremony, where we can introduce you to the world as doctors of physical therapy. That's my favorite day with you. Orientation is number 1. That's my favorite. This is a close second to orientation. When we first meet you, you're all excited, but now you've come such a long way. We just all talked about that during the capstone today. Coming up, we'll have remarks from Dean Altobello, your student representative, your chosen faculty member. Then we will don the white coats and pin you, and Dr. Henry will administer the PT oath, and then it's time for pictures. So let's get this party started. Dr. Altobello.
Thank you, Dr. Coventry. Still don't get used to the masks. Faculty, staff, family, friends, virtually, and especially the 48 members of the class of 2022. I'm delighted to spend a few minutes with you before you embark on your clinical experience. Like most people, I have a deep respect for all healthcare professionals, especially for those who I have the honor of calling my colleagues, the faculty in the DPT program. I see them engage with you. I see them engage with you inside and outside the classroom. I read about their research. I work with them to ensure the quality of the program. And there is not enough time for me to spend with them or to learn more about that. And everything I learn, I earn more respect. I stand in awe to the dedication and passion that they devote to the students and to the program. But what I appreciate and admire the most is that these colleagues express and exhibit the human touch. And that is one of the things that I want to talk about with you. Physical therapists perform a much needed service to the community. For the last 2 years, you have received a theoretical and practical preparation that you need to complete your clinical rotations. And I have this honor today of participating, thanks to the invitation, on this send-off. But before I do, let me invite you to consider the words of Bobby Fischer. Nothing eases suffering like human touch. I'm going to share a story with you. I was a grad student living in Boston, and my mother's cardiologist was in Mass General Hospital. So my parents used to pair both visits to their favorite daughter and the medical checkups. And one of such times, the doctor determined that my mother needed a pacemaker. His office set up everything. We just needed to show up at the hospital. That morning of the surgery, when we arrived in the hospital, we learned that the doctor who was to perform the surgery was not her cardiologist. And there she was, the strong woman I have learned to, that I grew up with, was in panic mode, sobbing, refusing to allow Dr. T, the other doctor, to perform the operation. That strong woman became fragile, afraid, and vulnerable. Just when they were about to suspend the procedure altogether, I asked one of the nurses to call my mother's doctor to see if he could come down and talk to her. And so he did. He took time from his busy schedule to come down to the OR and calm my mother. Her doctor said, "Listen, the last time I put a pacemaker on a patient was over 10 years ago. You don't want me doing that." Dr. T, however, she does at least half a dozen a month. He stayed there for a few minutes telling good and bad jokes, but barely adding too much to the conversation, holding my mother's hand. And at some point, my mom calmed down and agreed to the procedure. As expected, this is routine procedure, and the surgery was successful, and my mom came out with a newly gained respect for Dr. T. But had it not been for that nurse who was by her side, for the doctor who came down and had that personal gesture, none of this would have happened. That surgery not only saved my mother's day, but it gave her over 7 years more of life. They say that the most important innovation in medicine is the power of the human hand to touch, to comfort, to diagnose. Cultivate that human touch. Practice it often. Take the time to listen to your patients. Take the time to put yourself in their shoes and to find solutions that will work. Take the time to console them in their time of need and help them regain their dignity. The patients that come to you for treatment will benefit much more from your human touch than from any knowledge you may have accrued and any service you may provide. So best of luck in your clinical rotations, and I look forward to receiving you back after you come back. Thanks.
Thank you, Dean Altobello. All right, so now the students have chosen one of their classmates to give some remarks. And we welcome Luke Bellone to the mic.
Thank you. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, individuals of all ages. The end of our didactic academic careers, and God, does it feel good. Grad school is tough, guys. Absolutely no walk in the park. It's grueling, tiresome, can feel never-ending. And after finishing our last final on Wednesday, it took me about an hour and several mimosas before I realized how relieved and overjoyed I felt. However, during this final stretch, I started to notice something in myself. I noticed that I wasn't looking up quite as much. I felt as though I was always hunched over, reading, studying, writing discussion board posts that no one reads and we all just take each other's ideas. But yeah, especially these last few weeks have been extremely grueling and nerve-wracking. It got to the point where Sean, Katie, and I would just ride home from school together in complete silence. It was as if, and now I want you to imagine this scenario, as if we were just forced to sit through a 3-hour lecture of infected wounds and pressure injuries, and then forced to play with dolls for 5 hours. I mean, it seriously sounds like a fever dream. Paid off in the end, though. We're here. We got through it. Every single one of us worked our ass off. Maybe not Cooper, but everybody else did. We had a very small lens to look through these last couple weeks. Which is fair. We didn't have much time to look up at the sky. However, in the last 3 days, I've noticed how puffy the clouds are, how many leaves there are on the trees, how bright the sunlight is when you've been stuck inside for the last 4 weeks. Things are going really well for us. We made it through a rigorous program in the middle of a pandemic and came out the other side. Now, the pandemic did play a part, right? Zoom sucks. I think we can all agree on that. And I know many of you live in apartments and have your own space, but I legitimately had to go to school in my bed because my mom wouldn't let me near our home office because it would throw off her vibe. And I'm annoying, I get it. So we all learned to deal with things through the pandemic, and we learn more about ourselves than we may realize. If we can get through that, then we can get through these next 3 clinicals easy. When we got back into real-life classes, it may not have been pretty. Kevin may or may not have fallen asleep in every single class. Kelsey may or may not have whiplash from nodding her head so hard. Kelly still doesn't have a dog after searching for a year and a half. But she's been on Pet Finder quite a lot. Connor may or may not have screamed on several occasions before a big exam, and Ian still doesn't know how to pronounce my last name. But that's okay, we made it, kids. A lot of our success can be attributed to the quality of people in this room. We've had great professors who we may have disliked for an extended period of time, but they just wanted to be the best that we can be. It's called tough love. Sometimes I needed a swift kick in the ass, and Dr. Doyle would let me know that. I have a quick side story. Dr. Doyle does this thing where she gives her brutally honest opinions of people and what we do well and what we can do better. And she starts off, so I asked her, I was like, hey, what can I improve on? I want to be the best PT that I can be. And she goes, Luke, honestly, for the first couple of weeks I knew you, I thought you were kind of a doofus. And I said, thank you very much. I appreciate that. But this staff was always there when we needed them to be, and I'm very thankful that they continue to be in our corner. And there's all of you guys, students. We couldn't have done it without each other. And you are all exceptional people, and I mean that. Individually and collectively, we've grown through our successes and failures. We are constantly bettering ourselves through one another, and every single person in this class will go out of their way to help someone else if they need it. You guys are extremely caring, sympathetic, and loving people. I look forward to seeing you and learning from you every single day. And we are lucky to have such a fantastic class for the past year and a half. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and our paths now divert in different directions. Some of us are staying local for our clinical rotations, while others are moving far, far away, never to return to Manchester, New Hampshire. However, because of all the time we've spent together, I know you'll all accomplish great things. Sometimes, when we get stuck looking at books and computer screens, we can forget how lucky we are to be in this position. We're going out into the real world to change real people's lives for the better. Now, you're all compassionate and capable, and I'm really excited to see how things turn out for everybody. I'm really, really proud of you. Now go out there on clinical and smash it. Go spread your wings and fly, my little ravens. I believe in every single one of you, and I'm so grateful to have met you all. Make sure to spend some time looking up at the clouds. Thank you. I love you. Luke. There's a pandemic, don't you know?
I know. And they've all learned about that pandemic. All right. It's great when they choose someone who makes us laugh. Thank you, Luke. That was wonderful. I'm not sure some of your classmates will feel so great about it, but in retrospect, they should. It was very funny. All right. And the students have chosen Dr. Lisa Doyle to present remarks to them on behalf of the faculty.
Well, there's absolutely no way I can follow that with any type of grace. Actually, this is a really tough speech to make, and I'm already crying before I even start. But I do want to tell everybody that after I told Luke that I thought he was a little bit of a doofus, I commended him on how far he has come and how much he's grown and how much all of you really have grown on me. This has been a wild ride. We've seen more of the inside of my house than I really wanted any of you to see. I became a yoga pant person, and that became very obvious during one of my neuro classes when I realized I stood up and you could all see I had yoga pants on, which is not what I wear to work. We met Gary the gecko. We saw all of my daughter's art projects, and so I feel like you have become truly a part of my family. And I've seen the inside of your homes and your apartments and your dogs and your cats and little brothers and sisters. So I do feel like we have really become a family. But honestly, it has been quite a year. We've had unspeakable heartbreak. We've had incredible highs and incredible lows. And I know personally, like I have told you guys a couple of times, there were days that the only reason I wanted to kind of get up and get going was because I knew I would see you on Zoom, even in the times that we were online. And I think that you guys have kept me sane. So I hope I've kept you somewhat sane. So I thought we would do is go through the list of students and talk about what I think about all of them. One by one. No, I'm only kidding.
Here a while.
Exactly. I pretty much sum it up in 2 sentences. So just a couple of remarks. We've had a lot of time together. I've told you funny stories about my patients and funny stories about all the mistakes that I've made as a clinical practitioner. But just a couple of thoughts. The first day I met you in orientation, I told you that everything is cumulative, and I wanted you to remember that. Do you remember, I don't even know if you remember that, but I hope you know now what I was talking about, right? So not just the didactic portion of your education, but cumulative in terms of every patient you meet and every family member you work with should leave an impression on you. Some will be good, some might not be. You should learn a lesson from all of them, and that should make you a better practitioner. I also told you that you all have something to contribute and you all have something to learn. And I think we really saw that this last semester. I would say that I have the best job in the world because I get to see you first term and work with you, and then both Willow and I get to see you in the last term. And watching the incredible amount of growth in every single one of you is just incredibly fantastic. I think that all of you have contributed something to the class, and you definitely have all learned something. We saw that over and over and over again. But mostly what I want to leave you with is a message of what the patients need from you. So over this past year, you have had to put up with a lot of stuff. You've been online, you've been offline, you've been this, you've been that, you've done tons of projects, you've had an incredible amount of work. But it's always going to be easier to be you than it is to be the patients and their families. When you are having a bad day, their day is going to be 100 times harder. You can get up, you can move away. And that goes with every setting, right? Inpatient, outpatient, adults, pediatrics, is that it is always going to be easier to be you. And I think keeping that perspective sometimes helps you work with patients who are difficult cases. And honestly, it's a privilege for us to be in their lives. It's not something that you should take for granted, because you need them as much as they need you. And I think as a therapist, that's probably the thing I've learned the most with this whole pandemic, is not being able to work with my patients one-on-one in person, was really, really sad. And now that I'm back with them now, I'm like, woo, energized again. And I can enjoy them again and be able to have that privilege of having them in my life. So when you think about the whole sphere, and I was going to present the ICF model, but I thought someone might punch me hard in the throat. So I had a whole big ICF model. But when you think about that ICF model, the reason that we emphasize it is because it's all about the patient, right? All of those things. You're not in there anywhere. It's all about them. And so I admire you guys. You have come such a long way, and I know you're going to continue to grow more. I admire all of your resilience, right? You have really put a lot of time and effort into this. And the other thing that I see is your compassion that you have for your mock patients who are really your friends right now, but are soon to be real patients. I just think that you are an incredible bunch of young people, and I hope you stay in touch on your clinicals. I hope you send us those emails where you've, something really gross has happened, because I love those emails, or you really have a connection, or you really work with a patient that nobody else could really get through to. I hope that you see that you can do that, and I hope you have confidence in yourselves. And I've really enjoyed working with you, and I look forward to hearing all the wonderful things that you do. So thank you so much for choosing me.
In your face. Okay. So there is not a media presentation, which is fine, but for the dean and for Dr. Starrett, it depends is something the faculty will say to the students when they ask them a question. Because they want it black and white, this is how you do it. And on your first clinical, you found out it depends. You're dealing with human beings, and it's not black and white. There is no recipe. So we're now at the point of being able to have you don your white coats and be pinned by your faculty. So will my first row please stand? Anthony Addario. Right, yeah, the lapel closest to you. Go ahead. Michael Agro. Ashley Anctil. Anthony Barinelli.
Just leave him.
Bellone. Samantha Bosquet. Lindsay Buckle. Michaela Collar. Sarah Clark. Emily Close. Kyle Contreras. Move toward them. Thank you. Ashley Cutler. Cooper Cyr. He's putting his on early. Emily Barrett. Gentilhomme. Rachel Graves. Jessica Potter. Katie Holverson. Megan Janai Hall. Lydia Kenny. Stephen Learn. Anthony Lombardo.
You don't cut the sleeves off at this point.
Henry Louie. Nolan Lundin. Kyle Mazabah. Emily McGrath. Kyle McLaughlin. Albert Miro.
You're great, Al.
Kelsey Monto. Ian Nanig. Kevin O'Kula.
Tracy.
Ryan Prato. Reagan Rodolfo. Kelly Silvestri. Abigail Smith. Wrong faculty member. Megan Smith. Ryan Smith.
Doing great, Ryan.
William Stotter. Stephen Tressler. Maxwell Van Lynseele. Connor Williams. We have one more thing before we send you off into the world as student physical therapists for your clinical experiences, and that is for you to take the physical therapy oath, which Dr. Willow Henry will read with you. All physical therapists will do so at the same time.
So if everybody can stand up. I pledge to hold faithful to my responsibilities as a physical therapist, to use the highest science and art of my profession at all times, to exercise judgment to the highest degree of which I am capable when determining treatment to be offered, to refrain from treating when it will not benefit the patient, to always place the welfare of my patients above my own self-interest. I pledge to uphold and preserve the rights and esteem of every person placed in my care, to hold all confidence in trust, to exercise all aspects of my calling with dignity and honor and commitment to the highest ideals of service, learning, and the pursuit of knowledge. These things I do swear.
Congratulations, class of 22. Please remain standing as the faculty and platform party process out, but remain in the amphitheater because you then have pictures. Thank you for joining us for the white coat and pinning ceremony for the class of 22.
Yeah.